Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Candid Athletic Training. This is Chad coming to you straight out of Milwaukee. Episode number 265 of the Candid Athletic Training podcast. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, everybody's having a good start to their August. It's been a week since I recorded, week and a half. I just wanted to say hello. Got a lot of fun things to talk about. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. If you're back at work, the August grind, football season, training camps for all the sports. Hopefully, things have gone smoothly and the physicals have not gotten you down. So, yeah, I got a lot to cover here. I think it's going to be a fun show. That's what happens when I take a week off, and I just think about what do I want to do with the show. So, some fun topics. Nisi is here on the live stream, so welcome to Nisi. Thank you. The Olympics have been a lot of fun. I actually literally just now, within the last 2 minutes, had to run upstairs, change my shirt because I was wearing a green shirt, and on the green screen behind me, it was like I was disappearing. So I ran upstairs, and the Olympic finals 100-meter dash was just finishing, and my wife was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So I ran over to the TV, and it was a pretty incredible finish. So it's been really fun to see athletes performing at the highest level. I think that's the goal of any athletic trainer, is to help them do that and to feel like such a small part of their success is pretty cool. Like, you would never expect them to say it, but deep down, we all just want to feel like we're a small part of what they've accomplished. So congratulations to Noah Lyles. I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, that was a pretty contested 100-meter. So yeah, hopefully everybody's doing well. I've been all over the place in terms of activities with the kid and work, and trying to watch a bunch of stuff and just think about what we're doing with what I'm doing with the podcast here in terms of content and or direction going forward. I've got a couple emails out with some companies. Hopefully we can maybe come up with some new sponsors here too. I think we've got a couple things that I'm working on. Hopefully at least one or two of them come to fruition, but I do want to thank the current partners. So I know we start every show thanking Healthy Roster, the official sponsor partner of Candid Athletic Training. Without Healthy Roster, I don't have this show still. So make sure you check them out, healthyroster.com. The best in EMR. So thanks to them. Also, thanks to Smart Tools, 10% off using the code CANDID10 on anything that they have. Athletic Trainer Insurance Plus. I just had a conversation with one of our regular listeners and members, and they had just switched over to Athletic Trainer Insurance Plus and got that discount on professional and personal liability. So that's always cool to see that we are helping athletic trainers save cash, save money. We don't want you to spend any more than you have to. So if you are thinking about switching your professional liability insurance, if you're thinking about adding professional liability insurance, maybe you're covering tournaments or PNR work, and you just want to be covered, make sure you check out the prices. And I don't think you're going to find a cheaper deal than you can with a Candid Athletic Training membership and going to Athletic Trainer Insurance Plus. So that's always good. Also, thanks to Athletic Dry Needling. If you are looking to get certified in dry needling, make sure you check out their courses around the country. They've got a bunch coming up, and you can get $100 off using the code that we provide you if you are a member of the show. Chinook Seedery, 15% off on sunflower seeds. Obviously, it's that time of the year where being outside is actually fun for a lot of the country. So get yourself some seeds. And then lastly, Performance Running Outfitters, 10% off using the code CANDID10 on any running shoe that they have in stock that's fully priced. And then you can get up to 25% off with a Candid membership as well. So a lot of partners, a lot of people that want to help me out, a lot of people that want to help athletic trainers out. I think that's what it is. I know people listening to the show probably think, man, why is this part of the show so long? It's because I want to provide you, the athletic trainer, with as many deals and discounts as you can because you deserve it. So thanks for putting up with that every week. Welcome to Nate, who jumped on the live stream. He'll be in and out. I know I'm trying to pick and choose times that work for me, and it doesn't always work for everyone else. But if you're listening to this at home, I would love to have you on the live stream sometime. So make sure you can, first off, go to YouTube, follow Candid Athletic Training, hit the subscribe or the follow or whatever the button is on YouTube, and the notification, the bell, so that if I do a show, you'll get notified and say, hey, do you want to watch this live? And you can. Or if I put up a video, you can watch it. Also, your favorite podcast app, make sure you're subscribing. And also make sure you're sharing with other athletic trainers who may not listen to a podcast. Maybe they want to get in on some of this fun that we're having. Lastly, follow me on social media, Candid _ATC on the X and the Instagram, and on Facebook. I think it is also Candid _ATC. So lots of different ways to get involved in the show. You can pick the topics. You can pick what I talk about. Send me a message. Send me something on social media, and I would love to cover it because it's easier if you come up with the topics and I just tell you how I feel. So that being said, let's get into shenanigans here. Oh, God, I got to get used to the buttons again. So we have 2 quick questions of the day, just random things that I had put out on social media or came to me. Was watching the Olympics earlier this week, and the gymnastics was on, and the announcer said, gymnasts use more tape than football players. And I went, is that true? I don't know. So I put it up on social media. I said, who uses more tape? And then I put in asterisk, this is a question from, and I don't know if people interpreted the question as, did you hear what he said? Or who do you think uses more tape? I personally, I get where they're coming from. Gymnasts, at least the gymnasts that were on, there was a lot of kinesio taping. There was a lot of ankle taping, especially for floor and stuff like that. I'm guessing wrists. But most of the people on social media said they thought, okay, so the votes on _ATC on our X account, which athlete uses more tape? 53% said gymnast, 47% said football player. Now, again, I'm not sure if they were answering who did the announcer say, or if they were giving me who they thought. Nate on social media had responded, really, gymnasts, or was the context like taping because they can't wear braces? Sarah Staup said, as a former gymnast, the only time I used tape was when my wrists hurt or after I broke my ankle. I eventually used an ankle brace. I was never a fan of tape because it restricted the movements I needed for high-level skills. So you hear from Sarah, football players don't need high-level skills. Just kidding. That was very tongue-in-cheek. It's incredible. The more I watch, the more I think that the gymnasts are the best athletes in the world, and it's not close. I know a lot of football and basketball players at the highest level have this argument, especially a couple months ago there was that. And then the baseball player will be like, well, none of you can hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball and then a curveball and whatnot. Well, I'll tell you what, none of them can do. They can't do the shit that the gymnasts are doing. Do I think a gymnast could run down a field and catch a ball? Sure. Could they catch a fly ball? Could they hit a baseball? Not necessarily. But I don't think that's more of a skill. And then again, source, what the gymnast's doing. Holy cow, it's a really interesting debate. Anyways, I'll just go back. I think the gymnasts are the best athletes in the world. In terms of who I think is using more tape, one football player or one gymnast? I could see the argument for the gymnasts because I feel like a football player, what they're going to get, maybe they're going to get spatted, maybe they're going to do their ankles, maybe they're going to do their wrists or thumb. I can't think of any other traditional tape jobs that a football player, ankle, spat, thumb, wrist. Is there anything else that would traditionally they would do? So you have maybe 4 different things that are getting taped. However, what they're doing is they're taping it before their game or their practice and leaving it on. The argument for the gymnast is they might tape their hands or their wrists for one event, immediately cut that off, and then tape an ankle for a different event, and then tape that off or cut that off, and then go back and forth. So I can buy the argument for a gymnast. So I guess I don't find it that far-fetched. I think it's a really interesting debate, which is why I put it up on the social media and the quick question of the day. So I don't know. I don't know if we have an answer. I guess if I had to guess, yeah, I guess I'm thinking traditional white tape. I saw a lot of kinesio tape on some of the gymnasts. Obviously, we're just all probably more familiar with football as in terms of covering it. But who am I to argue? No, I'll just go. Be interesting to see what everybody really thinks. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the foot. No, I'm gonna go with the gymnast. I'm gonna stick with my initial instinct. The gymnast probably does. I will agree with the announcer that the gymnast probably does go through more tape than one football player. All right. The other quick question of the day that I had put up, I took my son to watch Inside Out 2. Really entertaining movie. I just saw that it is like the 10th highest grossing film of all time. It was like $1.3 billion. Like Avatar, the first Avatar was 1, then Marvel Endgame was 2, then the original Avatar was, or the newest Avatar was number 3, and so forth and so forth. And Inside Out 2 was currently 10th highest grossing. 1.3 bill. That is an incredible amount of money to think about. So the 4 new characters are emotions. I don't know if you've seen the movie. It's just an honest well, not necessarily honest. It's just like one person's view of what happens inside your body with different emotions as you grow up. I think it's a really creative movie and very well done. I want to watch the original one with my son because we just started with the second one because it was out in the theaters and we wanted to give him that opportunity. So the newest emotions, and I put it up on social media. Which ones do you feel most frequently as an athletic trainer? Anxiety, ennui. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it. Ennui. Apparently, it's a French word. It kind of means like, I wouldn't say. It's kind of like the too cool for school type mentality. Like you're just like so laid back that you don't want to seem flustered. And I'll get to it and just like chill. Third was embarrassment, and fourth was envy. This was a slam dunk, and I thought it might be, but it was interesting to see what the percentages were. The of those 4, anxiety came up most, 75% of the vote. I mean, that's a pretty substantial chunk. 3 out of every 4 said And I'm not sure if that's good or not. The thing they feel the most is anxiety, and I'm wondering what that is about. What maybe that's a feature topic. What makes you anxious? Let me put that on my. What makes you anxious as an athletic trainer? I'll probably put that up right after the show, and we'll work off that for the next show. But I'm wondering if it's injury evaluations or during the game, anticipation of an injury. I know I would feel that would be how I would feel anxious. Like, oh God, I just have a bad feeling like somebody's going to get hurt. In terms of treatments and stuff like that, I don't think I'd feel anxious. Maybe a little anxious to get out of there at the end of the day, going, man, I told my wife I'd be home at such and such a time, and this is running late. Is that anxiety? I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's frustration. It's probably a little bit of both. So I'm wondering, and that will probably be a feature topic for an upcoming show here, is what causes the anxiety in athletic training, or what's the most anxious moments of athletic training. Second place, the French word ennui. I'll just say ennui. The too cool for school. I think that would be the most ideal one to have. Like I've got this. No matter what happens, I can handle it. Very chill, very like much in control. I think in a perfect world, that's what we have. That would be great if that was the emotion that we had all the time. Like, hey, I've got, no matter what happens, I'm in charge. Third place was envy, 6%. And in fourth place, 2% for embarrassment. I'm wondering what the most embarrassing moment of an AT could be: falling on the way out to an injury or getting something wrong. I don't know if you'd feel embarrassed if you got a wrong diagnosis or you missed something. Dumping a Gatorade cart or spilling something. Envy, we'll go back to envy, which was third place. It'd be interesting to see like who and what you're envious of. Maybe it's your 9 to 5 friends, the hours. Maybe it is the other professions that get paid more. I don't know what else you'd be envious of, because when I was working in the traditional setting, I always felt like I knew the limitations, I knew the pros, I knew the cons of the job, and I appreciated what I had. And while I didn't focus on what I didn't have, I didn't really care, because I knew that what I was looking for at the time was getting met, my expectations. So, anyways, a couple fun, quick questions of the day. So, the next thing we're gonna do is we had a really fun F, Marry, Kill we put up on social media this week, and we were talking about when you have to take a bus trip, whether that's just the same day getting on the bus to go to the local game if you're at the high school level, or if you're traveling with a college or another setting you're traveling. Most of us have to get on a bus at some point, whether you're riding with your football team on a Friday night or whatnot. So the F, Marry, Kill that we proposed was, you're going to have to double up in your seat. You don't get the whole aisle to yourself. Who would you want to be your seat partner with? And the 3 choices we gave you were administrator, coach, and player. And I'm going to just read a couple of them from social media here. Maybe I should give mine first. Here we go. Let's play FMK. There it is. So for me, I'm going to go against the grain here. And I think, actually, I'll read the other ones and then I'll give mine. Nate said he agreed with Alan Dillon. So Dylan, Alan, and Nate both said marry the administrator, schmooze them while you got them there. F the coach, can find some common ground, kill the athlete. I don't want to be that close to them. They stink, and some of them I kind of want to kill anyways. Jason at 4symbol78 said, from preferred to not preferred, administrator, coach, player. So that's the same. Dylan's rationale, Dylan Alam said, marry the admin. They give me things if I can talk to them long enough. F the coach. My injury reviews are pretty short and sweet. And if it's not football, basketball, or maybe that's baseball, it was just BB, softball. I don't know the other sports technicalities well yet. Kill the player, no. Love talking to him in my office or on the field, but no. Mary Kate O'Shaughnessy said, marry the coach. They're always fun to ride with, and sometimes you can finesse free gear. They're always fun to ride with. I don't know if I agree with that, but that means you have a great coach. So kudos to you, Mary Kate. She is killing the admin. Sometimes you can get good tea from them. And then kill the player only because I'm a SAAT. And then Nisi said, I don't know if I can participate in this one, but she's on the live stream right now, and she says she's going to answer here. So I will wait in anticipation, Nisi. For me, I'm looking at this a totally different way, which is great, which is what makes this a fun segment. You're on a bus trip. What do you want more than anything? I want space. I want to not feel crowded. I want to not feel like I'm in the middle seat of an airplane. So in that respect, I think sometimes it depends on what sport you're covering. The player more often than not is going to be smaller than a coach. Not always. I know that. I'll take my chances. But also, I feel like if I'm sitting next to an admin or a coach, the expectation is that I'm supposed to be working on the bus, like talking shop or talking business or doing something. And a lot of times my bus trips, I just wanted to pick up my phone, play a mobile game, listen to some music, check out. And I don't necessarily feel like that is, I think that's frowned upon with an admin or a coach. It's like masturbating on an airplane. So give me the player in that situation. Also, maybe a game of Mafia will break out, or what we called Mafia. I loved going back to the back of the bus with the players and playing Mafia. I enjoyed the camaraderie of it, and I enjoyed the strategy and the games and building the relationship. So I'm for it. Nate asked, what's my current go-to mobile game? This is a very easy question. I'm only playing one game right now, Nate. It's actually called Splinterlands. It's actually a crypto NFT game. It's like a card builder, card battler, like a crypto version of Magic the Gathering, where you accumulate these cards, and they all have different roles, different purposes, different things. You battle other people. Win or lose, you're winning cryptocurrency. So I'm trying to build my portfolio through my gaming. If you're interested, let me know. It's actually kind of fun. Nate said, in Tennessee, I played spades with the coaches every trip. It was great. I had some really fun coaches to be on the bus with. My baseball coaches were incredibly fun. In fact, it's probably why I stuck around for 15 years, was because of the baseball coaches. So much fun on a bus and on the road, and just the sense of humor was incredible. I love those guys, and that is why I did 15 years in the traditional setting. I still wouldn't want to sit directly right next to one of them, though. I'd rather sit with a player. So give me the coach for the F, because the coaches I had, I could just ham it up with for the most part. And I'll kill the admin because I think I couldn't sit next to him and not talk about the job, the role, and not get frustrated about, frankly, the current state of athletic training in the traditional setting. Like, why can't you do more for us? Like, I don't need a t-shirt. I need an extra 5% of my paycheck. I need you to understand that I'm working all day for you. And I feel like that would become very awkward, or not necessarily combative, because I'm not really a combative person, but I assume that it's just not the time or the place for that. So I will kill the administrator. And partly because I didn't necessarily care for the administrators that I had. I coaches, greater sign, administrators at my last job. I'll just say that. Traveling with football at my most recent job, while whole coaching staff was silent every trip. Baseball staff wasn't much more talkative. I mean, that's the worst. Were there movies? Are there movies on the bus? I felt like early there was way more movies early in the baseball career than the last couple of years. It was less movies, definitely less movies. More kind of like the players just wanted to be left alone. They didn't want to watch anything. So it was very interesting. So, Nisi, I'm waiting for your F, Marry, and Kill. When you can get to it, I will read it. Otherwise, I'm going to do a fictional athletic trainer. So, I would say this will probably be a couple weeks ago. Probably finished it. Actually, no, I finished it right after I recorded the last episode. So, yeah, almost within the last 2 weeks, I binged watched specifically for this podcast Beverly Hills Cop. Because the new one was out on Netflix. And I'm like, I don't remember. I haven't watched the original 3 in who knows how long, 30 years. I think it was because it was 81, 84, 87, I think they came out. So probably 30 years. So I'm like, I got to watch the first 3 to remember who's who and then watch the current one. And I will let you know that the newest Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. on Netflix, I thought was an incredibly good movie. Incredibly good. I was super impressed with it. I highly recommend, even if you haven't seen the original 3. There's enough nostalgia on there. You know, all the original characters are there, but the movie itself was just good. It was well done. It was just a really good movie. So, really liked it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in it, and Kevin Bacon, and they had not been in the original 3. I thought they were both really good additions. I was talking to Kevin Joyce about it. He liked it as well. So highly recommend if you get a chance, just even if you don't watch the first 3, because the first 3 are clearly from the 80s, really outdated. Although Eddie Murphy, to watch Eddie Murphy work and cook as an actor in the run that he had, maybe, and I've heard this on other podcasts too that I listen to, maybe one of the best runs of, like, for an Hollywood actor, like stretches of like 6 years. Maybe one of the best stretches of 6 years success that has ever happened. I don't know if it can happen again. Nate has asked if I have watched Deadpool and Wolverine yet. I have not. We were gonna go, I think this next weekend, but our sitter was unavailable. So it's gonna be like, we're like 2 weeks out. We have a sitter booked for the end of the month. So I'll be watching Deadpool Wolverine at the end of the month, and therefore I will do a fat of it probably afterwards. I mean, I feel like I've seen the whole movie because anytime you jump on Twitter, there's like just clips and screenshots of everything. So I feel like I've seen a lot, which I try to avoid all the spoilers. But that one's coming up, Nate. I've heard mixed things about it. I kind of can see where it's the third one and they kind of are pulling out all the stops. So it's probably over. Oh, so you're saying fantastic movie, very fun. Now I heard somebody else say that it was just too forced, too many cameos, too much all this other stuff, which I could see. We'll see. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I actually like when people tell me something's bad. Because I'm kind of not necessarily a contrarian, but when I get into my head that something's supposed to be really good, I'll go, oh, that wasn't that good. Or if somebody says, oh, this movie sucks, I usually end up saying, oh, I like that more than I thought I would. And then I'm arguing the other side, like, no, this was good. So just tell me it was bad so I enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. So from this movie, we've got three main characters that were in all four movies. The main character, Axel Foley, the Billy Rosewood, played by, oh God, I forgot his name. I'd have to look that up. A pretty famous actor. Can't think of his name. And then John Taggart. So social media here. Where is this? Okay. Axel. So these are three detectives. So skill sets are, in terms of a lot of it, is going to be very similar. Axel's more of an undercover cop, where the other two are more of a traditional officers. Axel primarily works in Detroit, which is seen as a little bit more blue collar. The other two are located in Beverly Hills. So they're usually not seeing some of the, I don't know how to say this. It's more white collar stuff. They're seeing more white collar traffic violations, stuff like that. They don't get a whole lot of action. So Axel Foley obviously is the main character of the show, of the movie series. Incredibly funny, very talkative, almost too talkative. Like that's the Eddie Murphy spiel, like the Shrek, the donkey, like talk your way through everything, talk your way through everything. Like literally, like talk your way out of parking tickets, talk your way into free room and board, whatever. Is that a good skill to have as an athletic trainer? You could make the argument that there is a point of too much talking, not enough listening. Not only just probably annoying, but if you're talking that much, you're not listening during an injury eval. You're just assuming. You're not letting your athlete give you the information. You're just regurgitating, or like you're just word vomiting through evals. Probably a little bit more okay during treatment, although I don't mind a silent treatment. I don't know. Maybe that's a good question. Quick question of the day: silent treatments, yes or no? That's a great topic, maybe for the next show. So Foley, for me, he talks a lot. Which I think is going to be a drawback. I think Taggart talks the least amount. He's kind of the most more. He's the kind of the old grouchy cop, like the, oh geez, here we go again. By the book, kind of the John Wayne-ish, not necessarily John Wayne. Sorry, that's Rosewood's like the Wild Wild West gun fanatic. But Taggart's kind of like he becomes a higher up because he wants to do everything by the rules until he gets dragged into all the situations. He is never volunteering for some of the scenarios that end up getting played out. Where Billy Billy Rosewood is in the middle in terms of how much he talks. I will say this about Axel. Incredibly street smart, not just book smart. I love it. The other two are more by the book. Axel is more intuition, a feeling, and also super, super observant. Like, hey, did you notice this? Here's what's going to happen. Can predict a lot of things. Teaches the two by the book cops, hey, watch out for this. I think this is what's going to happen. So that's definitely his strength. Also, Foley's kind of MacGyvered his way through a few situations. So he's good at kind of using his resources. Actually, really good at it as part of his undercover persona. I mean, on social media, 50% of the people went with Axel, and then the other 50 went 37% for Taggart, 13% for Billy Rosewood. Billy Rosewood was a little underappreciated because he's kind of he's there for Axel more than anybody. He like will see it through, and he's like the first to kind of volunteer. Hey, you know what? This is probably not a great situation, but to hell with it. I'm in. I want to help. Axel kind of jumps into things without thinking them through. He just goes for it, and I don't necessarily know if that's great or not. Man, that's actually a pretty compelling argument for Billy. Or John's like has to get like talked into it, and it's like almost too late. Billy's like the perfect amount of, hey, I thought about it. It's probably fine. I'm not like jumping into something without thinking about it. So I could see that argument. It's just Axel's so good at improv, and I think athletic trainers need to be as well. So I'll side with the 50%. I'll also say Axel Foley would be the best of these three characters in terms of being an athletic trainer. So let's do this. Let's do a feature topic. All right. Let's see here. Feature topic. I don't know. I have kind of a loose outline of what I want to talk about. And it's going to morph into something else. There's almost like two different feature topics here at play. So I've been at work, and I've been frustrated at work, working in the orthopedic walk-in clinic. And I've said this more than once. I'm frustrated with healthcare in general, with this drive-through mentality that we have created. We've created our own monster in healthcare of accessibility. And in my clinic, I see a lot of people that I go, man, you really did not need to come in here. You would have been just fine on your own. And I understand that people just don't know what we know, and that's why they come in. Or I think it's more that people are impatient and they don't want to wait. Like they come in and demand x-rays and demand MRIs and demand to see the specialist and demand injections. And I'm like, we are not McDonald's here. This is not, you just come in and look at the menu and order stuff. And there was times I felt that at the traditional setting. Way back, episode number 4, when we started the show, when I started with Kevin, episode 4 was BYOT, build your own treatment. And that's what we're talking about here, coming back to it. The drive-through mentality, like the I need to be seen right now. I can't wait. Whether that's from the athlete or from the coaches, like, hey, go get checked out. Like, sometimes you cannot, as an athletic trainer, we cannot speed things up. I thought about this in terms of, especially right now, your athletes that come into training camp very early or the first week of practice and they're not in shape and they get hurt, and you guys are doing 2 days, and the coaches is like, hey, they're missing all these practices. I said, yes, but the tissues don't know that they're supposed to be doing the tissue time. The healing doesn't speed up because you're missing more practices. The tissues heal at the same rate. So yeah, you're going to miss more practice, unfortunately. But I cannot speed up the healing process. I can speed it up a little bit through modalities, but I cannot speed it up that much. I cannot double it because you're missing double the practices. It's unfortunate. So I think that can get frustrating. The demanding nature of healthcare, the expectation that we fix everything and fix it immediately, that can be frustrating. Nate wants to text me later. I'm curious how the walk-in ortho setup works. Don't need to derail the conversation now. No problem. Give me a call. Maybe not tonight. It's House of Dragon finale. Very excited for the House of the Dragon finale tonight. I'm all team black. Although just recently, I'm like team green. I feel slightly bad for Allison, and I'm not a Christian Cole hater like everybody else. But I do wish Allison was in a better situation. But otherwise, I'm definitely team black here. You heard it here. Candid Athletic Training, team black on House of the Dragon. So yeah, the drive-through mentality, maybe it's the athlete coming in and just begging for treatments because they think that's what they need. How do we get away from that? Maybe we don't need to. Maybe it's just me being crotchety. I just found it very hard to deal with at times. And I think it's the other thing I have written down here. It's a really interesting double-edged sword of being good at your job. When you do a good job, then the expectation is you can fix everything. Or we've had patients in the walk-in clinic that we've seen 3 or 4 times now because they know we can do it. Like, hey, I just need to come in and get seen again. I'm like, well, no, this is not like, we're not your normal orthopedic provider. We're the rule out worst case scenario. We're like the triage, we're the urgent care. And it's probably how it is at the traditional setting still, is like when you do a good job, then your athlete comes in all the time and you're just creating your own workload. That's what it is. There's no incentive for doing more and more and more and more other than satisfaction of knowing you're good at your job and doing a really good job. Sometimes I wish there was a performance incentive. Like, you know what? The standard is you see 10 patients in a day in my clinic. If we get to 12, let's start saying, hey, they're doing a really good job here. Let's reimburse, or let's like incentivize that. Otherwise, what's the point? And I think in the traditional setting, it's also like the workload just goes up the better you are at your job, unfortunately. And that can probably be a little frustrating. So is there a way that we can incentivize that? And it's a little bit easier, I think, at the traditional setting because, as I mentioned before, you feel like you're a part of the team and you feel like you're part of the athlete's success. For me, it's like I take somebody, I get them an x-ray and we put them in a walking boot and we send them out. I don't ever feel like I accomplished anything with them. Like I know they're going to get better, but they would have gotten better anyways. But with the athlete, you actually get to see them return. Like the coolest thing about traditional athletic training is being the only healthcare provider in the world that usually sees somebody before, during, and after an injury. And that's really cool. So it's a little bit easier to justify the workload knowing that you are going through it with them. Nonetheless, the better you are at your job, the harder it makes, because you're usually just going to get more work. Whether that's more people, like, oh my God, did you see what they did? They got him back right away. Maybe I should go in. Or the coach's expectation is risen, and you have to constantly outdo yourself. So I think that's what it is. Nate says that pretty much right there is why I got out of the traditional setting, asked for a raise based on my increased workload, and got turned down with no discussion about it. Just a flat out no. I remember very early in my career at my former job, and this is probably when I should have left, but I stuck it out for 12 more years. I remember being a part-time employee and an administrator calling me down saying, hey, I know what you're doing in terms of like volume and stuff like that. We cannot pay you anymore because if we spend another dollar on your salary, we have to pay benefits and we don't want to do that. Can we pay you in gear? Can we give you some extra gear? And I should have just left then. Because that's we value you, but we don't value you. Like, show me. Don't just tell me, show me. So that's another whole different discussion. Maybe that's what I should do is now that I'm doing a solo pod every week, I just come up with a random story from back in the day and I just go through all my fun stories in terms of the crazy wild career that was my traditional setting. So yeah, I just, hopefully you guys, and maybe not right now because you had some summers off and you're just back at it, but maybe you are in that, in this, you've had the same thing where you have thought, Jesus, it's just a drive-through. It's just everybody, the expectation is they can walk in and get what they want. And I feel like as the healthcare provider, you should be able to say, nope, I know what I'm talking about. This is what we're going to do. So you don't need a cup. What you need is to do exercises. I wish it was easier to say no to an athlete. No, you don't. No, we're not doing that. Like, it makes very little sense and you're going to get very little from it. But it's very hard to say no to an athlete, I feel like. So anyways, that's really all I had. Episode 265. I've got a couple things lined up now for this next week. I will get those out on social media. Make sure you check out Candid_ATC specifically on Twitter. That's where a lot of our fun interaction comes, but also on Instagram, Facebook. Who knows? Maybe if things go better, I can get on TikTok or something else. Who knows? If you have an idea for a topic or something you want me to cover, obviously you can email us at email me at candidathletictraining@gmail.com, or just go to the website, candidathletictraining.com, and then there's a link for a show topic. Right. It pops up right when you go to the website. Thanks to Healthy Roster, the official partner of Candid Athletic Training, Smart Tools, Plus.com, Athletic Trainer Insurance Plus, Athletic Dry Needling, Chinook Seedery, and Performance Running Outfitters, all companies that will give you some sort of discount on what they have to offer just for listening or being a member of our show. I am working on a couple other different companies that have reached out and potentially want to partner. So that's exciting. Be on the lookout for some of that. Otherwise, thanks to Nisi, thanks to Nate for jumping on the live stream. Thanks to everybody else for listening to this. And we will see you as soon as we can. Go Team Black.